The hydroelectric power plant São Manoel in the heart of Brazil, deep in the Amazon rainforest. All that is needed on the site has to be delivered over a long and arduous way. These transformers weigh more than 200 tons each. The length of the journey, almost 4,000 kilometers. The men of Megatrends are specialists. Long distances are no problem for them. The greater part of the transport is easy, but the last 100 kilometers are hard. Almost 40 degrees in the shade, relentless nature, dusty roads and old bridges. The requirements are severe for men and material. Alta Floresta, in the state of Mato Grosso, there is nothing much happening here. Still, the little town has turned into a hub for heavy haulages of all sorts. This transformer is to be used in the jungle power plant. It has been on the road for 6 weeks, 3,500 kilometers for the men, a hard slog northwards straight into the heart of Brazil. Now it's reloading time. Long hangers won't do the job here. Until now it was tarmac roads, but now the jungle is waiting. Thomas Weidmann arranges heavy haulages in Brazil. He's in business for more than 30 years. He knows all the challenges and difficulties. The next 100 kilometers will stretch the team to the limit. Heat, dust and roads of dried soil strewn with holes, it's going to be a dangerous ride. Sometimes it's about centimeters. Then there's the river crossing, with a load of more than 200 tons. Heavy haulages are forward business. Delays cost money, failures cost a lot of money. Weidmann and the men from Megatrends are professionals. They will leave nothing to chance. Meanwhile, a new tractor unit is to get ready, a real heavyweight. This big Kenworth has more than 1,000 horsepower. Its gear transmission ratio gives him the power needed to climb steep hills. While the last preparations in Alta Floresta are taken, Thomas Weidmann inspects the route to the river. With a pickup he drives along the car track looking for bumps and other critical spots. After 30 years in the transportation industry, he knows about the importance of being well prepared. The way to the river and then to the power plant leads across fields and thick forest. There are 9 bridges ahead. All are made of massive tree trunks. Still, they remain simple wooden bridges, and the shape is partly critical. Until now, the juggernaut has been almost 50 meters long. The automotive substructure is in position. It has to be maneuvered beneath the transformer. Altogether, the men of Megatrends shortened the juggernaut from 24 to 12 axes. Anything else would be too long for the 100 kilometers ahead. Changing the automotive substructure requires caution and sense of proportion. Very slowly, the men maneuver the substructure underneath the transformer. Ready to go. For the first meters, the men guide the transport by foot. Later on, in the field, this will be the rule and not the exception. Close to the vehicle, irregularities can be mended best. For the time being, it is tarmac road, wide and drivable. The bridges here are made of steel and concrete, stable and partly well preserved. Slowly, the heavy haulage noses forward, taking the slope effortlessly. The team is on schedule. The target for the day is almost reached. the village of Paranaíta. The tarmac road ends here. After 40 kilometers, the juggernaut leaves civilization behind for good. If the transport should have a breakdown on the narrow, dusty road, it would be a problem for all. Nobody could pass it, and the team of Megatrans is not the only one in this wasteland carrying things. One final check before the route to the river. There is enough space here to park the transporter at the roadside. After an hour, the work is done. The heavy haulage now is on its way to the bridge, 50 kilometers across a better cart track. It is crucial now to avoid critical situations. Once 200 tons are set in motion, everything is too late. Again and again, the men check the load and the tires. The axis can be shifted to compensate bumps. Way ahead, the road gets smoothed. The clay runway is rock hard and the holes are too deep. For 2 days, this scrubber eliminates the worst holes and bumps only for this transport. An enormous logistical effort, but it's worth it. After 30 hours, the heavy haulage reaches the river. The first stage is over. It was the easy one. At the riverside, preparations take place to cross the river by ferry. The landings need to be excavated. Hundreds of tons of mud and rocks are to be removed. The river is at low water. The ferry with a heavy haulage would run aground, thus more excavations. The ferry, at first glance a rickety barge. Mostly the few farmers around here use the ship. Since the power plant is under construction, there is more traffic though. The ferry has been converted to carry heavy cargo. It is a good bargain for the operator. For Thomas Weidmann, it is a costly necessity. Without the reconstruction, this would be the terminus for all heavy cargo. A transformer weighing over 200 tons, a massive tractor, an attending truck plus smaller vehicles. All that must cross a river in the heart of Brazil. Now, additional tanks are brought on deck in order to increase the ship's buoyancy. The men of Megatrans bolt the heavy tanks on deck. Altogether, 4 floats provide more security. Further up, the heavy tractor begins to move. The Kenworth is needed as a reinsurance on the other side, for the automotive substructure probably couldn't deal with the steep slope of the ship on its own. The first maneuver is a success. The ferry carries the cargo across the river. Now, the transformer is waiting on its automotive substructure, weighing more than 200 tons. The heavy haulage drives onto the ferry. The ship is set to go. It's walking speed to the other side. The crossing is going well. The ferry is deep set in the water and the slope is steep. The man scoops soil between ship and landing. Thick planks are used too. Slowly, axis by axis, the heavy haulage noses ashore. Ahead, the men of Megatrans change the drawbar. The new one is much stronger. It has to carry more than 200 tons uphill. Now the big Kenworth truck gets ahead. With all its power, it is pulling more than 200 tons off the ship. The river was only another stage. Still, there are almost 100 kilometers of dusty roads and jungle waiting for the men and their heavy cargo. Slowly it goes, sometimes at walking speed only. Narrow bridges connect the road in an almost endless vastness. The roads here on the other side of the river are quite wide, but the slopes are brutal, up to 17%. The Kenworth is hanging on despite the dust and the heat. It needs almost 500 liters of diesel for a distance of 100 kilometers. The journey through the vastness takes 4 more days. Then the destination is close. After 53 days, the heavy cargo reaches its aim, the water power plant São Manoel. It has been more than 7 weeks and almost 4,000 kilometers for the men and their cargo. It is done. It is going to take a few weeks before the transformer actually is built in to deliver power. The unloading alone takes 2 full days, then the transport across the site continues. Using hydraulics, specialists lift the transformer and then pull the substructure forwards. Heavy scantlings protect the transformer. Now the Colossus is safe. The cargo is at the finish. For the specialists from Megatrans and Thomas Weidmann, such jobs are routine. Still, a certain pride resonates when the turbines finally start spinning and the plant produces power. When the power plant is going online in a few months, the men of Megatrans are long gone and on another mission. They don't know where it will be, but the cargo will be big and heavy, somewhere in the vastness of Brazil.